Alrighty, welcome back. Second day in a row to another live Wisco Fanatics show. If you missed it last night we did our preseason primer for the Green Bay Packers. All of our Green Bay Packers shows this year are going to be on Tuesdays, so that is moving to Tuesdays this year. Our next Green Bay Packers show is going to be the live watch party that we're going to do for free on August 10th for Packers Broncos, so definitely tune in for that. Check that out if that's something you're interested in subscribing to for Patreon going forward. Other than that, our next Green Bay Packers show is going to be August 20th. But today, before we get into the Brewers, we have six Brewers games, I believe. 6 Brewers games to cover today. And we're going to start with the discussion about the Badgers adding on Greg Steemsma, former Badger, to the staff. So we're going to hit the intro, and then we're going to talk about Greg Steemsma.
Welcome to another live episode of the Wisco Fanatics Show, where we discuss the Packers, Bucks, Brewers, Badgers football, and basketball from an optimistic perspective. Wisco Fanatics is brought to you by Cardboard Legacy, Wisconsin's most complete sports card shop. Buy, sell, grade, and consign all at their location in Oshkosh.
Alrighty, so welcome back. Connor said, hey guys, on the way to AmFam, won't be able to talk as much in the chat, just wanted to say hi. Well, Connor, we appreciate you listening to us on the way to American Family Field to cheer on the Brewers, so we'll allow it. So as we said, we're going to start this show off talking about the addition of Greg Steemsma. Jake, just give me your thoughts just off the top of your head, what you thought when you saw the news.
Well, former Badgers, so that's always great to see them come back home, right? That's the first thing that everybody should take away from this is seeing a former proud Wisconsin Badger who was part of a winning culture with Bo Ryan and co. Come on over. He has NBA experience. He was a guy that I'm sure you're going to get into more detail about. I don't want to take all your thunder here, but he was in player development in the NBA for a couple different teams. So always exciting to have a guy that was working next level with young guys, making them hone in on their skill set. So that's obviously what college is really for, right? Is young guys honing their skill set so they can become pros. So that's two great things right in a row there. I love all that. I don't want to take everything, so I'm going to give the floor to you.
So if you follow us on Facebook, you can see the post that I typed out with the Badgers hiring Greg Steemsma. They are hiring him to a new role. So they did not previously have this role. Greg Steemsma is going to occupy the role of the Director of Player Development. So this, Jake mentioned, Steemsma has been in player development since 2019 in the NBA. He started with the Timberwolves in 2019. In 2020, they drafted a dude named Anthony Edwards, who's become one of the best players in the NBA. Now, I'm not saying that's single-handedly due to Steemsma, but if you're talking about player developing, Anthony Edwards has developed as a player over the last 4 years. Also, Karl Anthony Towns is another guy you can throw into that conversation. And then the last 3 years, he's been with the San Antonio Spurs. And obviously, we know what they do with player developing, and spending time around Greg Popovich can only be good things for Greg Steemsma as far as becoming a basketball mind goes. Now, I'm not going to say that Steemsma made Wemby. Obviously, we all knew he was an alien coming into the league from France. But just being around players like that, helping them develop their games. Now coming to Wisconsin, the question that I posed in the post that I made for Facebook and the question that I'm going to pose to Jake, and I think potentially we are seeing an evolution, a changing of the guard, if you will, pun very much intended, for the way that the Badgers are going with the basketball program. Do you think with the transfers in and out and this hire, do you think that this is a signal of a big change for Wisconsin basketball?
Okay, so my gut reaction, and I always listen to my gut, it leads me to delicious food most of the time. But in this situation, it tells me that the Badgers basketball team is taking things more seriously as the Badgers football program did when they hired Fickle and company. So what that tells me is they're going to start putting more emphasis and stuff. You could obviously tell with the social media game.
Yep.
They stepped it up right there. That was first and foremost. When you start seeing them following Fickle and co., making custom videos for all these players, it's like, all right, they're forking over some money. They're trying to compete with the big boys. We're not just okay being, we got into the NCAA tournament. No, they want to win the damn thing. They want to win the Big Ten. They want to win the Big Ten tournament. It's the same thing with the football team. They want to win, 11, 12 games. They want to be in the college football playoff. They want to win the national title. So to take those things seriously, you have to make big boy moves. This is a big boy move. I do think if you're thinking about it as a change, it's a positive one, and that's the only thing you can take from it. It's absolutely not a negative.
Yeah, and it helps. I mean, the two biggest things you touched on immediately were that he's a former Badger and he has NBA experience.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're a college athlete and you're like, if you're torn between, say, Wisconsin and Rutgers, and you see that Wisconsin over the last 2 years, they've completely changed over the roster. I'm actually really looking forward to our Badger basketball primer. I'm going to be watching film on all the transfers the Badgers have coming in soon. Probably going to be doing a lot of that in August and September. But when we do our Badger basketball primer, there's a lot of new faces coming here. A big, big roster turnover. And I'm so glad you brought up the social media thing, because I absolutely 1,000% agree with you that Fickle is rubbing off on Guard in the social media aspect of announcing recruits and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And those are things that high school and college age kids care about.
Mm-hmm.
They care about that social media presence. They care about feeling like people are excited to have them here.
Mm-hmm.
We are. So that aspect of it, and then adding in a new role of a director of player development and bringing in somebody who has 5 years of NBA experience and is an alum of the school who played 4 years in the NBA himself, I don't see how you can have anything but ecstatic reaction to it.
Yeah, this is one of those moves that helps you take a step or two forward from a program that was already very good and basically a lock to be in the top 68 to a team that could be a lock to stay in the top 25 all season long, maybe top 15 if they get the right athletes, right? And like you said, dude, I'm so excited for that primer. We got a lot of crazy good transfers and some athletes everywhere. Losing Chucky sucked, but the aftermath of what happened with all the money that was left over from the NIL from Chucky leaving, they filled that and some.
I'm really excited. I'm really excited for Badger basketball.
Mm-hmm.
The team's going to look so different, and there's going to be obviously some carryover. But when we're talking about adding a director of player development with a former big man, I'm so excited about what that means for Nolan Winter, because I'm a big Nolan Winter guy. And by adding one of the greatest Badger big men to play at Wisconsin back to their staff is really exciting.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I know Mike is going to feel the exact same way. I know he's going to be ecstatic and excited and go on a 34-minute rant about why he's excited about adding Steamsma to the staff, and we'll have that conversation when we do our Badger basketball primer. But this news came out today, so we wanted to open the show with it. So let's get into Brewers baseball, the meat of the show today. And Jake, give me your power pair and underrated performer from the last week.
All right, so my power pair hitter, I went with the all-star starter behind the plate, William Contreras. He was 7 of 19, scored 3 runs, 2 doubles, had an RBI, 3 walks, and 3 strikeouts. He had a 368 average, a 455 on base percentage, a 474 slug, and a 928 OPS. So those are great slash numbers for anybody for a week. My power pair pitcher, I went with Jacob Junis. I feel like he is going to be a very important person for the second half of the season.
Really good
and I always hate saying second half in baseball and basketball. This is just a little random rant because it's not exactly half, and that always has bothered me, but it's whatever. But he's going to be very important down the stretch to help manage some of those innings in the bullpen. He can eat up a lot of innings for us, 2 innings at a time, actually. So he did that this week. He had 2 games, 1 win, 1 save, a 2-inning save, by the way. 4 2/3 innings pitch. He gave up 5 hits, 2 earned runs, had 1 walk, and 5 Ks. So, I mean, this is a guy that's working back to getting into, midseason form, as they say it. And, he's already been good. So I can't wait to see him when he actually is in midseason form. He's going to be fantastic under this just amazing Brewers pitching umbrella, I think I'm going to start calling it, because it just stretches everywhere, man. Every person they touch, they turn out good. I don't know how they do that. But my underrated performer, I went with Blake Perkins. He's kind of the odd man out, and everybody, including the fans and the media, is kind of, taken to think that. And, he's just taking things in stride. And he did have a frustrating moment in a game against the Dodgers, but you know what? He bounced back from it and he produced runs in his next at bat. He is proving to act like a pro. And there is something to that, to me, is being able to carry yourself the right way. That'll always carry a lot of weight with me. So 4 for 12 this week, 1 run, 1 home run, 4 RBIs. He had 1 base on ball and 1 strikeout. So that's a 333 average, a 385 on base, a 583 slug, and a 968 OPS. Obviously, we know the defense and we know the speed. He's a switch hitter. So I wouldn't be so fast to just get rid of Blake Perkins. I think that he could be a valuable asset. But we will have a discussion when we talk about the game we have for our watch party, because I think you brought up a really good point.
Okay. Well, I'll wait to talk more about Blake Perkins till we get there then.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so for me, I went with Christian Yelich. It's my turn to have him this week after Jake had him the last couple weeks. Over the last 6 games that we're going to talk about today, batted .350 with a 500 on base percentage and a 900 slugging percentage, a 1,400 OPS over the last 6 games, which is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
I just wrote this down because it's just another ridiculous number to add on to it. A 272 weighted runs created plus.
Goddamn.
That stat, 100 is average.
Yep.
272 is ridiculous.
That's
obviously it's a small sample size of only 6 games. But Christian Yelich is now qualified per Major League Baseball statistics to be among league leaders. He has enough at-bats now, so he is now your National League batting leader, your National League on-base percentage leader, 4th in slugging, and 3rd in OPS in the National League. Do you want to guess just who the 3 guys are ahead of him in slugging and the 2 ahead of him in OPS?
Ohtani?
Yep.
Betts?
Nope.
Is it on the Dodgers?
Nope. You got 1 on the Dodgers. You got that one.
Oh, wow, really? I really thought it would be Betts and Ohtani because they were leading everything. Is it Contreras? No?
No.
Is it NL East?
Yep.
Oh, God. I want to say Phillies. Phillies? Is it Bryce Harper?
Bryce Harper is the other OPS one, and then there's 1 other player ahead of him in slugging. The 2 ahead of him in OPS are also ahead of him in slugging, but then there's 1 more ahead of him in slugging.
1 more.
Still NL East.
Still NL East? I can't think right now. I always – oh, man. There's just all these players that are running through my mind right now. I'm going to say – no, it's not Kyle Schwarber, although
it's not Kyle Schwarber.
He does hit home runs.
He does.
Still NL East. Braves,
yep.
Braves.
A lot of home runs.
Austin Riley?
Nope.
Hits a lot of home runs. Not Travis d'Arnaud. God damn it, what's the first
Former
person?
Christian Yelich teammate.
Ozuna.
Yep.
I should have known that. Should have known that right away.
So I'm going to plant the seed of a narrative here.
Okay, I'm ready.
I'm only making a small indentation for the seed to go in. I'm not fully saying like we need to start the hype train up or anything.
I know where this is going.
But today on July 10th, 2024, I'm planting the seed that if the Milwaukee Brewers finish above, say, 3rd in the NL, which if they win the NL Central, if they're anywhere above 94 to 96 wins, Christian Yelich is going to have a legitimate chance at MVP.
I knew where it was going. When you said he was 1st in average, I was like, I know where this is going already.
If he's got a legitimate chance to lead the National League in average on base, to be top 5 in OPS and slugging on a team that's going to be top 3 in the National League,
yeah,
and doesn't have a team of superstars around him, there should be at least a conversation.
I'm with it. He needs to have the power get up there a little bit more. Like, he needs to hit, like, probably 30 home runs, in my opinion.
If he sniffs 30 home runs, he should be in the conversation.
I would agree with that, 100%.
Ohtani winning it as a DH would be super annoying. And again, with a team full of superstars around him, if you take him away, what does that team lose?
Like 4 more games.
Yeah. I mean, you look at the players around them, like, big deal.
Yeah.
I'll hear Bryce Harper, obviously, because he's legit. The Phillies are really good, but they have an insane starting rotation.
I will say the one discussion you can have for Bryce Harper is that he has improved a lot defensively from moving from right field to first base, where he's been a very good there. But that's just my argument for him against Ohtani, because Ohtani just bats. Like, he's terrible on defense. There's a reason that he pitches.
Yep. So there'll need to at least be a conversation had.
I'm with that.
I'm not going to press super hard on it, but we're planting the seed. And if we have this conversation in 2 months, I can come back to this at the beginning of July and be like, I said it then, and then pat myself on the back. So
I'm with it.
We'll see. For power pitcher, I was kind of torn. So we talked about Colin Ray, who had an unfortunate bad game last night, but pitched a gem his game before. But I ended up settling on Dallas Keuchel. Now, he only pitched 4 1/3 innings in the Sunday's win against the Dodgers.
Mm-hmm.
However, the Dodgers, you could tell by watching this game closely that they were purposely trying to get super deep into counts.
Yeah.
They were trying to get Keuchel into positions where he'd be on his 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th pitch of at-bats to try to get mistakes to take advantage of them. And to his credit, he only pitched 4 1/3 innings, but he only gave up 3 hits. And obviously he had the 5 walks and didn't strike anybody out. But again, that's a concerted effort on the Dodgers' part, that they were taking tons of pitches and fouling off tons of pitches. And Keuchel, to his credit, hung in there and was able to get through the 4 1/3 innings. Obviously, you'd like your guys to go deeper, but he threw 94 pitches.
Mm-hmm.
His first game with the Brewers, he threw 71. His second game with the Brewers, he threw 78.
Mm-hmm.
Sunday, he threw 94, gave up 0 runs to arguably the best offense in baseball, which I would say it is.
You can make that argument for sure.
So for underrated performer, I went with Eric Haas, filling in for Gary Sanchez right now and doing so admirably. Over the last week, a 300 batting average, 364 on base, 600 slug for a 964 OPS, and decent defense. Not great defense, but he's a decent defender. So Eric Haas, pretty solid. Brandon said Keuchel's last 2 starts, he has under a 2 ERA, but almost a 2 whip, doing well, limiting damage. And absolutely, we'll talk about escaping damage when we get to that Dodgers game on Sunday. But we're going to start with games 3 and 4 from the Rockies series, going back to last Wednesday and Thursday. So, Jake, let's talk about last Wednesday, game 3 against the Rockies. Let's start with starting pitching.
Okay, so starting pitching, obviously, Colin Ray, now people are going to have bad feelings because of last night, and that is still fresh in people's minds. But last Wednesday, Colin Ray was really good versus the Rockies. Yeah. That is a very hard ballpark to pitch good in. A lot of home runs out there, the thin air. So for Colin Ray to go in there, and I believe he's the second Brewers pitcher ever to go 7 innings and give up 0 earned runs, right?
Yep.
He had 7 innings, 0 earned runs, gave up the 6 hits, had 0 walks, and that right there. So the 6 hits and the 0 walks, I'll take that trade all day.
Mm-hmm.
You give me 6 hits and 0 walks, you're not hurting yourself with the walks. Now, we're going to get into a discussion when we talk about last night's game. So keep the 0 walks in fresh in your mind. 4 Ks. He did a tremendous job. He moved to 8-2 in the season, and this was Jacob Junis's save that he had that I mentioned before. He pitched 2 innings, gave up 2 hits, did have the 1 walk, but 0 earned runs and 2 Ks. Those 2 combined to have the 5th shutout of the year for the Brewers. So absolutely great job. And the oddest thing about the 5 shutouts, only 1 of them is at home. So that means 4 of them are on the road.
Interesting.
So if you're talking about a young team that you don't think they can win in the playoffs and they can't beat top teams, they can't do this, I'm sick and tired of hearing it. They play pretty good on the road. They're above 500 on the road. They do struggle out west. So for them to get this win and shut out the Rockies in the Rockies Stadium at home, that's a big deal to me.
Interesting. Okay, so when I was looking at Colin Ray, I was just looking to see how he was doing inning by inning. Through 4 innings, he was at 49 pitches. He did a really good job of only allowing 2 base runners after that 4th inning, and one of them was picked off. But looking at the 2 that you mentioned to only ever throw 7 scoreless at Coors Field, the other one is one of my favorite all-time Brewers, is Chris Capuano.
Yep.
because he gave me my first autograph when I was a kid. So I'll always love Chris Capuano.
Yep.
But looking at Colin Ray, in this game, the 7 innings that he pitched, he did not allow 2 base runners in any inning. So that's a gem when you're talking about Colin Ray.
Yeah.
And I'm going to hold on to the stat that I have. So if Christopher, if you're watching, you're going to love this. When we get to stats, I'm going to save this one for when we talk about last night on Colin Ray. Is there's more to him than just running to the conclusion that he sucks because he had a bad game. So let's look offensively. What did you think about the offense?
So the offense only scored 3 runs, right? They had a homer from Yelly in the top of the first. That was with 2 outs. He hit it 446 feet, so he absolutely mashed that one. They got a single from Jake Bowers that scored Frelick that put us up 2-0. And in the 5th, they had Mitchell with a bases-loaded walk that got the game to 3-0. The thing that it was kind of concerning to me is the team had 9 hits overall, and the top 3 in the order had 8 of them. So the rest of the lineup has to do a little bit better job. Now, there were some people after them that got some walks, like Garrett Mitchell, Sal Frelick. They got on base via the walk, but guys need to be getting hits and getting on base and keeping that churning out. Now, me and you are very big advocates of the runners in scoring position stat, right? And the Brewers have been tremendous at it for the most part of this season.
Yep.
We like a lot of bites at the apple. We're going to keep using that term because a lot of people hated it, but we're going to keep using it. I want 15 at-bats of runners in scoring position. You're going to have a very good chance to score 6, 7, 8, 10 runs.
Yeah. Crying about leaving 8 guys on base, like you realize you have to get guys on base to be able to leave them on base.
Right.
Like nobody's driving in 100% of the runners that they have on base.
If they were, man, I'm telling you right now, I'm going to sell everything that I have and bet on them to win the World Series.
Nobody's batting 1,000 with runners in scoring position, and nobody is only making outs with the bases empty. That's just obviously not happening.
Right.
So you mentioned Christian Yelich. His career versus Dakota Hudson after this game, 7 for 14, 500 batting average, and 16 for 23 in on-base attempts at 696 on-base percentage against Dakota Hudson. He was 2 for 2 with a walk in this game.
I hope that guy signs with the Cubs.
And then also on the offense, looking at Willy Adames, he struck out twice looking, and the first one was probably a ball, but it's one that's too close to take, and the second one was a strike, and I could see being frustrated about the first one, and then he looks back and he gives the umpire that's 2, and the umpire tosses him for it. Personally, I think the umpire is a little soft for tossing Willie, just for turning around and saying that's 2. Like, he didn't use the Pat Murphy magic word to get tossed or anything like that. He wasn't swearing at the umpire. He wasn't like screaming at him in his face. Like, I think it's a little soft to toss Willie for that. But the first one, probably a ball. The second one was a strike, but both of them too close to take.
Yeah, I agree.
Defensively, Bryce Terang in the bottom of the second with the sweet web gem makes the play go into his right and just glove flips it to Willy Adames. Oof.
The thing about him is, like, he's just so good, dude. Like, I don't feel like I appreciate how good he is enough, to be honest with you, because he just makes it look easy. He's one of those guys. Like, he makes it look easy, and you're just watching the game, and you're just like, nice, we got it out. And then like, you replay it in your mind, and you're like, dude, that was, like, insane. How the hell did he just do that, right? That's just putting on it.
The thing that I don't like about it is that he does make things look so easy, and then when he makes a mistake, people are like, how could he do that? Like, how could he make a mistake? It's like,
wow.
You don't realize, like, just how insane defensively he is.
Yeah, that's why I said in my brain, that works and functions, and I think about things. I rethink about it, and I'm just like, oh, wait, that was actually crazy what he just did right there. So I think people need to start appreciating that, and also maybe take a second to think before you talk. That is just a suggestion that can help you in your everyday life. So,
yeah. All right, well, let's talk about Game 4, and we'll talk about Tobias Myers first. He's a little shaky through the first 2 innings. He gave up 3
Yep.
runs on 4 hits, but he settled in pretty nicely after that.
Yeah.
This is similar to a couple other games that we've seen, not necessarily from Tobias Myers, but just from Brewers pitchers in general. He finished 6 innings pitched, gave up the 4 hits, the 4 earned runs, and I don't remember how many strikeouts he had. I didn't have it written down here. But looking at it, he had 19 swing and misses. That's an absurd number. That's a Freddie Peralta type number from Tobias Myers.
Yeah.
So he gave up some runs, but his stuff is there. His stuff is absolutely there.
Mm-hmm.
So what did you think about Tobias Myers?
So he did have 5 Ks. I wrote that down. Okay. And another thing that he's been doing so good at, and the entire pitching staff did a very good job of this in this game, is first pitch strikes. That has been really the number one thing that he has been focusing on, and the pitching coaches, Chris Hook, have been focusing on with him when he's making his starts is, listen, you need to be a guy that gets ahead and you need to attack. Okay, that is what they are teaching him right now, is use your stuff to go at them. And then I think, this is my opinion, I don't know anything like Chris Hook, okay, because that guy is just a genius with pitching. I think after that, then they're going to come up with some disgusting stuff for like, okay, you got these guys on their heels, now you're going to make them look like fools. And that is what is the next level for him after, him pitching so well for this stretch, right? So 21 of 26 on first pitch strikes. So again, he's really honing in on that. He is dominating that. Big Z, 2 of 3, and Payamps 2 of 3 as well. Payamps had a really good outing, and Big Z had a good outing in this one. But Myers gave up 8 hits. I mean, that's tough, man. That's just one of those things in baseball where, if this was played in a different stadium, or if the ball bounces a little differently on some of those hits, or the altitude is a little bit different, like maybe he doesn't give up those hits. Maybe the ball spins a little bit differently. We don't know. But I'll still take 6 innings, okay, with the way that people are complaining about the bullpen being used and stuff. I think that him going 6 innings is very important. Saves a lot of arms. We only had to use Big Z and Payamps. They went 2 innings. The Brewers ended up losing this one, but really, I'm not that upset.
Yeah, I mean, a great team is going to lose 62 times in a year.
Yeah.
So there's going to be losses. There's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be stretches. There's going to be stretches where they don't win a lot of games. But, I mean, if you're looking at it, you've mentioned Yoel Payamps already. His bottom of the 8th was a 1-2-3. Only 10 pitches for him to get through that. Yeah. So hopefully Payamps can build some momentum off of these appearances that he's made in the last week outside of last night. But we'll get to that. Looking at the Brewers offensively, I wanted to highlight Bryce Terang starting the game with a 10-pitch at-bat. It ended in a ground out, but we've seen high pitch counts affect pitchers, and we saw a low pitch count help Colin Ray just the night before this, help him stay in the game longer. And then Bryce Terang in his second at-bat had a 9-pitch at-bat. So he saw 19 pitches in his first 2 at-bats of the game, and he threw 27 pitches in the first inning, and he threw 90 pitches through 4 innings. So it's something that, even though he made 2 outs in those 2 appearances, he's doing good things.
Michael's alluding to what I'm talking about, so I'm going to read it real quick. He says, attack, but the Cubs and Rockies were both super aggressive going after the first pitch. He has the stuff, just needs to adjust when teams know he's throwing a strike first pitch. That is what I'm referring to. That's the next step for him. So the first step was getting him to know that he can attack first pitch, get ahead in counts, and he has MLB stuff, right? Remember, this guy wasn't supposed to be here this year. This guy was supposed to be down in Nashville and honing in on his stuff and developing his stuff a little bit more. So for him to be up here, like you said, Tyler, to your credit, it's only good things to be around Chris Hook right now.
Yeah.
So for him, this is the first step. The next step for him to become an everyday, every 5 days, right? Not every day, an every 5-day starter in the MLB is to be able to adjust to stuff like Michael is alluding to that I was trying to say, but Michael said in a smarter way. Be able to adjust, and maybe if they're looking for a fastball, that's where the changeup comes into a factor, right? And that's why I love the changeup, because it spins the exact same way. And these guys are so good. I still always find it amazing that they can pick up the spin in that amount of time. That makes no sense to me, but that's why they're the professionals, and I sit here behind a computer and talk about it.
Brandon said the Brewers' 5 spot in the order is among worst batting average in the league at 196. No coverage for Adames. I think there's something to that. I'm not a firm believer in lineup protection. I mean, I get that there's some, truth to it, obviously, if you know you have a guy coming up on deck, not to pick on Blake Perkins, but if you know you have a guy coming up on deck who's batting like 230 versus Willie Adames, who's a home run threat, doesn't matter what ballpark you're playing, what pitcher you have on the mound, he's always expected to hit a home run.
Mm-hmm.
I can understand giving him some junk to swing at. To Adames' credit, his plate discipline has been among the best in his career. So there is, some of it is on Adames too. But I can see the point of, having a trusty 5-hole hitter. I think based on some news that we're getting right now with the Brewers, that there is a potential solution to this problem. And the news that just came out is 3-pronged. One, DL Hall avoided a fracture last night in the comebacker that he got hit with. So DL Hall is going to be shut down for 3 to 10 days after being hit by that liner. So we're going to have to wait a little bit longer for DL Hall to get back, but that's just that one.
Mm-hmm.
Item number 2 on the news is that Joey Ortiz is a full go today, and if all goes well, he could begin a short rehab with the Timber Rattlers promptly.
Uh-oh.
And 3, Gary Sanchez is well ahead of schedule.
Uh-oh.
So if we get Joey Ortiz back very soon, we're going to be looking at Joey Ortiz and Bryce Terang occupying that leadoff spot. Who would you think to maybe stick in that 5-hole spot?
Honestly, I would put Ortiz in the 5-hole, to be completely honest with you, if I was really putting the lineup together. But Sal, maybe? Who are you putting there?
I'm keeping Joey Ortiz in the leadoff spot because he has some of the best plate discipline on the team and he gets on base a lot.
I'm
putting Jackson Chourio in the 5.
Chourio at the 5. See, when I was thinking of Sal, I was thinking going right, left, right, and putting Chourio at the 6. But I don't disagree with that. I mean, I said it before. Chourio deserves to move up in the lineup the way that he's been batting. So,
I love the idea of Jackson Chourio batting right behind Willie Adames.
Shit, man, that's back-to-back home run threats.
Right. Plus, if Adames gets an out and Chourio's starting a new rally, and you get Chourio on base, that's speed too.
Yeah, that's a good point. I like that.
So, Brandon, if Joey Ortiz is back soon, I love the idea of Jackson Chourio in the 5 spot.
Okay.
So, speaking of Jackson Chourio, he stayed hot in this game. He extended his hitting streak to 10 in Game 4 against the Rockies. Oh, Brandon, I don't know about going so far as to get Vladdy Jr. We'll probably talk trade targets very soon. Honestly, we'll probably do it next week. It'd probably be a good time to do it. Or the week after. The week after, we will have the All-Star break. So maybe 2 weeks from today.
Mm-hmm.
Jake and I'll talk after the show on trade targets. But Jackson Chourio had a game-tying RBI double that extended his hitting streak. That double that he hit would have been a home run in 24 of 30 ballparks.
Yeah.
That's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. That's baseball for you. So he also did catch a runner off the wall that got the runner at second base. He caught the runner at second base, caught the ball off the wall. Played one, very good defensively. Something we saw the unfortunate opposite of during the Dodgers series. But Brandon's going to the game as well. Brandon and Connor, we got 2 people from the comment section going to the Brewer game tonight. So
we get no invite. What is this?
People assume that we're busy on Wednesdays, dude.
I cannot be busy. I'm just saying. We can move it to a Thursday. No invite.
All right. Well, Brandon and Connor, enjoy tonight's game. Jake,
have fun.
As far as the Brewers go with Game 4, is there anything else that you wanted to say?
Really, I just wanted to give credit to Monasterio. So I talked the way I did about the lineup, not hitting in the previous game, Game 3 of this series, and now Game 4. I want to give credit to Monasterio, a guy, again, who has been thrust into a role that, last year he did that too, and now he was hitting a little bit in this one. He got 2 hits down there in the bottom of the order. So I wanted to give him credit for that. I think the Brewers did a nice job getting on base in this one. Obviously, they didn't come away with a W, but I wanted to talk about this. Walks are a killer. They'll kill you. And if it shows in the first runs that the Brewers scored in this one, top of the fourth, Frelick and Yelly got on base from walks. Frelick had a 7-pitch walk, Yelly had a 6-pitch walk, and Monasterio singled to center and hit them both in on a cutter that was 88 above belt high. So that was great. He ended up getting the second base on that one. In the top of the sixth, Churio, like you said, his double, that was a first pitch swing. So he's going up there with confidence. And Pat Murphy has talked about stuff like this, with Bryce Terang and Rhys Hoskins. He's talked about stuff like this before where, you give them confidence, you make them feel like $1 million, they go out there, they play well, and it makes you feel good, right? And Churio is going up there absolutely feeling like the man and playing like the man right now that got paid. So first pitch, he doubles the center, and he gets Hoskins in, and Hoskins got on base from a 9-pitch walk, and he had 3 foul balls in that at-bat. So great job from Rhys to get on base, and great job from Churio to hit him in, and absolutely that tied the game in the top of the sixth. Obviously, we know what happened in the bottom of the sixth. Not a great pitch, four-seamer above belt high, but it is what it is, man. And I talked about hitting. I got to talk about it again. The Brewers in the 7th through 9th inning, they had 1 hit, and they saw 47 pitches. It's not going to get it done, boys. We gotta do better at getting on base and being aggressive when we're up there. I feel like they teeter a little bit the last couple of games this last week where they're like, do we be aggressive or do we not be aggressive? The way that this team is run, go. That's what I'm about.
Obviously, I agree with you on the being aggressive. That's what this team is built around doing this year, and that's part of what makes them so fun to watch. They're also pretty patient at the plate. Like we've talked about the zone swing percentage and swing percentages.
Yep.
So seeing them only taking 16 pitches an inning on average, that seems low. It seems like that's something they want to see more than that. But I want to talk about the top of the 9th inning. So we get to Bryce Terang, who gets a second strike called on him that was not near the strike zone. And he swings at a 3rd pitch that was not a strike either. But we need to consider this just as baseball fans in general when watching games. We have to consider what the home plate umpire's strike zone looking like does to affect the hitters and the pitchers.
Yeah.
It's something to be cognizant of. What it does to hitters and batters and their approach based on what the umpire's strike zone looks like in that game. So we see the rectangle, the square on the screen, and we're like, oh, that's the strike zone. Everybody should know exactly what that strike zone looks like. But that's not what the umpire's strike zone looks like on a game-by-game basis. It looks a lot more wiggly. Sometimes it could be turned lopsided where they're giving different pitches on the corners to different right-handed or left-handed batters. Some days it could be shifted up and you're getting high strikes and not the low ones. Some days it could be shifted down and they're giving low strikes but not high strikes. There's just something as baseball fans we just have to consider once in a while that not everybody who's in the batter's box or everybody who's on the pitcher's mound is seeing that little white square that you get to see on television.
I want everybody, after you get done watching our beautiful show, to go on YouTube and look up umpire point of view. And I want you to tell me if it's a ball or strike. Because that shit is hard.
The other one that I'll say is to look on Twitter and look at umpire scorecards because it gives you like what the general heat map of where balls and strikes were called. And then it gives you the impactful calls and things like that.
The only reason I said that is because I've told my son to do that because he's like, that was a ball. That was a strike. And I'm just like, okay. I put it on a big, giant 65-inch TV, which they don't get to see, by the way. And they have a bunch of yelling people at them like, you suck and I hate you and I hope you die on the way home, which is terrible. Don't say that kind of stuff. That's bad. But it's hard, dude. Seeing how fast that moves and the movement, and you have this much room for error. It's incredible. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Michael said part of me wants the square to be gone. I'm not opposed to it. Or honestly, what I would like is to maybe have it on there and then have it disappear as the pitcher is pitching.
Or have an option where you can have the square and not the square.
I feel like Apple's going to do something like that in the future.
They're absolutely going to do that because they're the best and they're by far the best baseball program, and they should just take over, please.
James, welcome back. James is excited about the Red Sox being relevant.
I'm
Good
glad
for
they
you.
were beating up on the Yankees. I'll say that.
So were the Reds. Seems like everybody was beating up on the Yankees in the last week.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to the Dodgers series. Let's go to Dodgers game 1. Friday night, we got Aaron Savali's debut. Now, we were talking during this game, and I jokingly said to you, I'm like, stop striking out Ohtani and Will Smith will stop hitting home runs.
Yeah.
But here's the real takeaway from this.
Mm-hmm.
So Will Smith was in a slump. He got his get-right game against the Brewers. It sucks, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. The real takeaway from this, jokes aside, is that by Savali striking out Ohtani multiple times, it kept this game at points where Will Smith was hitting home runs in the first and the third innings. That it kept it a 2-0 game and potentially not a 4-0 game.
Very true.
So the Brewers were able to take a 5-2 lead in this game thanks to Rhys Hoskins, but that could have been a 5-4 game at that point. And obviously the Dodgers came back to win, so it doesn't really, really matter. But when we're talking about 162 games and you're going to win some and you're going to lose some, we're looking at them deeper. And that was one of my takeaways, is that limiting damage, even though they did end up losing, is still something that I noticed and was important to me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what you thought about Savali's debut, if you wanted to give some thoughts on that.
First of all, shout out Brandon. I think he called Savali making his start versus the Dodgers.
He did. We originally thought it was going to be Saturday. I thought we were going to get it for the watch party, but
yeah. I thought he was okay, honestly. Having 8 strikeouts in 5 innings. I mean, the 4 earned runs. I mean, pretty much everybody on the Dodgers
for sure.
They had a power surge this last weekend, the first 2 games at least. So Savali, I mean, other than giving up the home run ball to Will Smith, who again, like you said, had his get-right game against us, I actually had no problem with him. And it just goes to show that, again, I am so happy that the fans do not have control of this team.
Oh, my God, dude.
Dude, we gave up a guy playing in Appleton, Wisconsin for the Timber Rattlers for an MLB pitcher. Please let that sink in.
You know what's funny? Is that the year before, the Tampa Bay Rays gave – oh, okay, go ahead.
Gave up a AAA guy for him.
Yeah. We gave up a single-A guy for a guy that the Rays gave up a AAA guy for a year ago.
So if you're not familiar with all the letter A's, the more letter A's you have, the closer you are to the MLB. Okay, so I just wanted to, explain it like that for people who don't understand. But, dude, we gave up a guy, and this is absolutely no shade. I don't mean this as shade at all. That single-A guy may never sniff the MLB. And that happens more likely than people realize.
Not with the way the Brewers infield looks right now.
He may never sniff the MLB, and we're getting a guy that's going to help us probably win the division this year. I really want people to think about that before they throw shade at stuff. Before they go and they look up his ERA, and they look up his recent games that he pitched, and they look up his last
bargain bin.
And they go on Facebook and they say that he's washed and he's nothing, and this is a terrible move, and this is not what we wanted. Well, too goddamn bad is not what you wanted. You're not in charge. And it was a great move, if you ask me, because the more starts he gets with this team, the better he's going to get. And he just faced the Dodgers in LA, where the Brewers suck, by the way. I'm sorry I have to say it like that, but they suck there. And rightfully so. The Dodgers are first, second, third. They're top 5 in payroll every single year. And then they just cheated MLB and they got Ohtani, the best hitter in baseball. So that roster is insane, okay? That's an insane batting lineup, insane roster. It's a hard place to play. And he went 5 innings for us, and he battled.
Yeah.
And Will Smith was knocking his shit out of the park, but he was the only one, really.
Yeah.
He held him down very well. And I'm happy with Savali, man. I think he was great. Also, another good outing, back-to-back good outings for Pirates, so that gives me a lot of confidence. Hudson gave up an earned run and hit back-to-back appearances, but it is what it is. And Peguero's got to get right, okay?
Oh, God, this was so annoying, too, because that inning should have ended in a strikeout.
It should have. It definitely should have. But, the thing about it is these guys are going to have ups and downs. They're human just like we are, right? So the ups and downs, I can't believe I have to say this again because I had this discussion recently. It just triggered something in my brain. Our job as fans is to cheer them on and uplift our players.
Mhm.
When they're doing good, yeah, happy, awesome. I love winning. I love when you do good. That makes me feel good. When they're doing bad, they need us more than when they're doing good.
Yeah.
Because when they're doing good, they already have the positive pheromones going on in their brain where they feel good and they feel like the man. They're the shit. They're on top of the world. But they need us when they're having bad outings.
Yep.
They don't need us to go to social media and be like, God, cut this guy, DFA him. I don't want this guy on my team anymore. They don't need that.
Yep.
It's kicking a man when he's down. What are we doing that for? We need to be better as fans. Peguero had a tough outing. We need to go on social media and be like, all right, Peguero, that's all right, man. We forgive you. It's 1 of 162. Next time you go out there, I trust you again. And you know what? He's going to go out there and he's going to throw a nasty slider and he's going to strike somebody out. And they're going to have to retie their shoes because they swung so bad. So let's be better, please.
I agree with you on that. This game really gave me hope that hopefully Rhys Hoskins is back on track. Both of his last 2 home runs, grand slams.
I remember you saying that, and I was like, Jesus Christ.
And then the last thing that I wanted to say on this game, this is a defensive note, is the home run that Will Smith hit in the bottom of the 4th inning just snuck over the left field fence.
Yeah.
So that's a really short fence that they have in left field and the corners of their outfield. I think that is going to be a learning opportunity for Jackson Chourio.
Yeah.
Where in a lot of ballparks, that's going to be bouncing off of a fence, including American Family Field. That's going to be bouncing off the wall. In LA, that's one of those places where that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So that's just one of those things where Chourio playing left field, even though he's primarily played right field this year, him being in left field, being in a new ballpark, this is his first time playing in Dodger Stadium because he's 20 years old. So that'll be a learning moment for him to learn the ballparks that he's playing in and learning how the ballparks play.
Yeah.
I'm not saying this to say anything bad about Chourio because I'm very, very, very high on him right now. But I think Christian Yelich probably turns that into a catch.
Maybe, yeah.
I mean, we'll see something when we get into a later game here, but Christian Yelich, having played for a long time, being a veteran, probably makes a veteran play on that. Jackson Chourio, being a rookie, made a rookie play on it. It's nothing to be mad or angry about. It's just something that, like I said, I think it's going to be a learning experience for Jackson Chourio. James said, as a supporter, the best thing you can give a player after a bad outing is the confidence to go out and do better, or just to trust themselves, trust their work.
Yeah.
That's something that personally I struggle with sometimes. Like, I can be upfront about that. Like, we have conversations once in a while where Jake will gas me up and he'll be like, that was a smart thing that you just said. But I don't always say to myself, like, that I'm doing things well. I'm actually really bad at it. It's probably one of the worst things that I'm good at. It takes a lot for me to give myself credit. It happens once in a while where it's like, I'm smart and I know what I'm talking about, but it's not my overriding personality.
I got you.
So I do appreciate when Jake says good things about me and says that I'm smart and I know what I'm talking about.
I mean it when I say it, buddy. I'll just be talking.
So when we have these conversations about players, obviously they're Major League Baseball players.
Mm-hmm.
So they belong where they are, and they've done things to get themselves there.
Mm-hmm.
So talking to people on Facebook, I'm really not going to put a ton of stock into it if you're just making a split second, like this guy sucks because he had a bad game today, and he sucks today, so I'm going to say he sucks overall, and we should get rid of him. It's the knee-jerk reactionary thing is probably one of the biggest problems with sports.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else you wanted to say on game 1?
Yeah, I just wanted to give credit to Adames on his hit in the 4th inning. That was a sinker that was blowing away at 98 miles per hour. Glass now has the gas, dude. So he had a really good swing on that one, just took it over to right field and got an RBI out of it. Terang got on base. He was the one that ended up scoring off that single. Terang got on base from an infield single, and then Contreras, who got the 3rd on the hit, got on base from a 6-pitch walk. And then after that, Mitchell got on base with another 6-pitch walk, and that's what allowed the grand slam. So, again, walks can be a killer, being patient, having a good eye, and, just taking what the offense is giving you, not the defense in this terms. I'm going to call the pitcher the offense because they have control. They literally have control, in my opinion.
They're on the attack.
So, and especially on a guy who's an all-star. Just taking what he's giving you is really a great thing. And Hoskins, again, another good swing on the second pitch, another 98-mile-an-hour fastball. But they didn't miss the heat in the fourth inning especially. So good job by them. I just wanted to give Adames credit since people seem to be talking sideways about him again.
Really quick on your 98-mile-an-hour fastball comment. That's one of those things where you see guys swing at high fastballs a lot, and they strike out on pitches that go above the zone. Because if that guy misses 3 inches low, that's how you give up huge, monstrous home runs.
Yes, it is.
That's how Josh Hader would give up home runs once in a while. He's a power pitcher. That's how Freddie Peralta gives up home runs sometimes. He's a power pitcher. Even Corbin Burns used to have it happen to him sometimes. He's a power pitcher. When you have power on power and you're throwing the ball really hard, the ball leaves the bat just as quickly or harder.
Yeah.
So hard pitches create hard contact. That's just how it goes. Soft pitches create soft contact. That's why guys throw breaking balls low in the zone because it gets you to ground out.
Science.
Oh, baseball. Welcome. James said if you're playing a sport professionally, you're not there by accident, and that's 1,000% true. Okay. So let's go to Saturday's game. Saturday's game we had the Patreon watch party for. We got to see Freddie Peralta again on the Patreon watch party. If you're subscribed to us over on Patreon, 2 watch parties a month. You get to see the graphics early. So we posted the Pat Murphy Manager of the Year hype train. That was on Patreon like 3 or 4 days before it actually got posted on the rest of our social medias. And then you get to vote for the games that we do watch parties for the next month. And then when we do watch parties, we do a 30-minute pregame show. We're live during the entire game. And then we do a short postgame show after. So we did that for game 2 against the Dodgers. We have another one coming up 2 weeks from yesterday on June 23rd for another Brewers-Cubs game, which will be fun. And then in August, going to be a little bit more Brewers. And then we're going to be in a football season. So there's going to be football games to choose from also. So that'll be very fun.
That'll be fun.
But Brewers-Dodgers, game 2, what stood out to you from that one?
So let's start with Peralta, okay? People are going to look at that line and see that he had 4 innings pitched and 104 total pitches, okay? But the thing that they're not going to see is that he was battling, and he battled through that 4th inning.
Yeah. Yep.
And it could have been a way worse outcome than it was. Now, full disclosure, that was a shit way to lose. But for Peralta to keep us in that situation, and then to your credit, you said it on the Patreon, for Bryce Wilson to come in there and give up 0 runs in 3 innings pitched, that's tremendous work right there. Peralta and Wilson together, they pitched a gem together when you really consider all things. 300 runs over 7 innings, you're giving yourself a really good chance to win. 5 Ks between the two, 7 hits. The thing that Freddie needs to work on is he really needs to get the 2 ball and the 3 ball counts down, man. He's just – I don't think that he has – I mean, the changeup, his pitches move so much. And this just goes back to the Dodgers just working the counts like they were against Savali. They were doing a great job of just being like, listen, this guy has great stuff. I think everybody in MLB that's ever faced Freddie Peralta would say he has great stuff.
Yeah.
The changeup moves. The fastball's 98. It moves. I mean, it's ridiculous. The slider is disgusting. I mean, he's a swing and miss guy. Like you said, he's a power pitcher, man.
Yep.
So to the Dodgers' credit, they did a really good job of taking pitches and working counts. But it just sucks because Peralta's had a couple of games like this before. And, people are really kind of a low stock on Freddie right now when really it should be a lot higher because they don't understand the talent level this guy has, in my opinion.
Yeah, and the fact that he's going to be our number 2 starter next year.
Yeah, that's insane, dude. Like, he was insane as a number 3 starter. He's still insane as a number 2 starter.
Yeah.
He's insane.
So, to me, what was insane is the fact that his 97th pitch of the game was a 98-mile-an-hour fastball that struck out Will Smith.
Yep.
And that was the 10th pitch of that at-bat.
Yeah.
So you're talking the 10th pitch of an at-bat, no breaks in between batters, the 97th pitch that he's throwing that day, and he threw one of his fastest pitches of the day.
Man.
That's insanity.
Yep.
Followed by a Freeman ground out. I would have obviously liked to see more than 4 innings for him as well, but the way that you put it, that he battled, there's no other better way to put it. Mm-hmm. His velocity was up on all of his pitches across the board. His spin was down a little bit on all 4 of his pitches. And then all but his four-seam fastball had below-average horizontal break. So he didn't have his best stuff, plus the concerted effort by the Dodgers to drive up pitch counts and to take a lot of pitches, which is something consistent across all 3 games of this series, which we're going to talk about again when we talk about Dallas Keuchel in Sunday's game. And we just mentioned it from Friday's game with Savali. Freddie Peralta's outing on Saturday was no different. It was the exact same thing all the way through this series. The Dodgers were trying to drive up the pitch counts of the Brewers starters.
Yep.
So that's the starting. Looking at the bullpen, the top of the 8th inning, the home run that came was a home run in 14 out of 30 ballparks. Less than half of the ballparks in the league that would have been a home run. Christian Yelich got his glove caught on the pad. That's baseball. It sucks. It is what it is. And obviously Yelich is going to tell you that he should have made the catch. But it's an unlucky thing. It happens. It's going to happen. Anything that can happen in a baseball season is going to happen. 30 teams play 162 games each. You're talking about 4,800 baseball games.
That's a lot. That's a lot of baseball.
Everything that can happen is going to happen.
Yeah.
So that's that. Ohtani hit another home run, 2 batters later anyways. So the fact that home run was kind of a cheap one, it is what it is because Ohtani hit another one later on. So it could have just as easily ended in a 4-3 game as it ended 5-3.
Yep.
As far as the Brewers offense is concerned, the Brewers made the Dodgers use their A bullpen a lot by hanging around in these games, the first 2 games. Made them use their best pitchers, which we saw Sunday is going to make a difference. Also, Jackson Chourio extended his hitting streak to 12 in this game. And William Contreras hit a double in the top of the 3rd inning. That was 118 miles per hour off the bat. That is the new hardest hit in Milwaukee Brewers history since the StatCast era started. Beat out Christian Yelich by 0.2 miles an hour.
Dang.
Previous was a 117.9 mile an hour double by Christian Yelich, and now William Contreras holds that record. So I'm going to let you give your thoughts on the offense, and then I want to say one more thing before we move on to Sunday.
Okay, so first of all, I want to say, when I saw that hit from Contreras, I was like, dude, he tattooed that ball. I did not expect it to be the hardest hit ball in Brewers history, okay? In the StatCast era, not history, sorry.
Right.
But
Now
I
we
was
can
like,
track.
yo, he crushed. Dude, that thing literally was just like a missile. I'm surprised a divot didn't happen into the ground when he smacked that one. But getting back to the game here. So Adames did a good job giving the Brewers the lead. Want to give credit to that. Okay, we had a lead in the top of the 1st. I was like, okay, good vibes. We're starting this thing out good. We're on national television. We got a 1-0 lead, baby. I'm feeling good. And then Smith comes up to bat for his 4th at-bat in this series and smacks another home run. And I'm thinking, like, God, why is this happening to me? Why are you letting Will Smith turn into Babe Ruth in front of my eyes? This is not great for me.
He's like their 5th best player.
I know.
How ridiculous is that?
So stupid, man. But then, they got another run, so they were up 3-1 at that point. You get back to Hoskins. Hoskins homered in back-to-back days. So your statement of saying that maybe Hoskins is getting on the right track, I think you're onto something there, buddy. I think you're onto something. And then it was, scoreless for a couple innings, 3 innings in a row. We get to the top of the 8th, and Yelich ties the game, and we're like, uh-oh. We've seen this 22 before.
Yeah.
We have seen this form of 22 before, and something. I talked about Yelly. You gave me the honor to talk about Yelly in the pregame show, and the thing that I took from it is I think his power is coming back, man. And in full disclosure, I talked about how he had his MVP years, then he was injured, and he was playing kind of poorly because he was rehabbing, and he wasn't himself. That was not the Christian Yelich that the Brewers were paying for. And in 2021, he was bad. 2022, he still had good plate discipline. That was his career high year in walks, so he was still getting on base. And then 2023, last year, he started to come back. And we're like, hold on now. Is this guy back now? Is this guy back? And then he starts this year off on a tear, and we're like, we are so fucking back. We're so fucking back. Then he got hurt, and that was really shitty. But now, as you said, he is the leader in batting average for the entire NL. Yep. This guy is back, and the power is coming around. And for him to have a clutch home run like that is insane. And that is the 22 that the Brewers are paying $26 million for. So all of you people out there, that said DFA him, trade him, he ain't worth the money. You look like idiots, and I hope you feel like one too.
All right. I love that energy. And the last thing I want to say on Saturday's game, bottom of the fourth inning. Okay. The Dodgers go single, fielder's choice between Andre Monasterio and Willy Adames.
Yeah.
And reaches on it. Mm-hmm. And then a walk. All happen, and the Dodgers are looking at bases loaded and nobody out. And Freddie Peralta finishes this inning without allowing any more runs to cross.
Stud.
And as the players are coming off the field, I'm going to say earmuffs for this part because I'm going to say what Pat Murphy was saying to guys as they were coming off the field. Is Pat Murphy is firing up his guys without being a dick about it. Everybody's coming off the field, and he's saying, good fucking job, nice fucking work, great fucking job out there, guys. That's what Pat Murphy was doing for these guys. So you can take your Justin Steele, I wish we had some guys like that to fire our guys up and wake them up. You can fire up your guys without demeaning your teammates. And Pat Murphy, bottom of the fourth inning on Saturday, gave you the blueprint exactly how to do it, how you can light fires under people in a positive, growth mindset focused way.
It's really weird that his team talks so well about him, isn't it? Pretty weird.
Pretty weird how a team that was projected to win 79.5 games is already over 50, and we haven't hit the All-Star break.
That's weird. That is weird.
Not giving all of the credit to Pat Murphy, but a lot of credit goes to Pat Murphy. All right, let's go to Game 3, Sunday's game, the most fun game of the series.
Yeah, man. You want me to start with pitching?
Do it.
So let's talk about Dallas Keuchel, man. This guy only went 4 and a third. Gave up 0 earned runs to the Dodgers, man. And I'm going to let you control most of the conversation about his walks. But honestly, if he's a swing and miss guy, even though he's not overpowering. He has a lot of spin rate and a lot of movement on his pitches. If he gets those walks down, dude, and he starts going, 6 or even 5 2/3, and every once in a while he gives us a 6 1/3, bro, we got this guy for $1.
For a literal $1.
You can't get a goddamn McChicken for $1 anymore, dude. We got him for $1, dude. He's out there giving up 0 earned runs in 4 1/3 inning to the Dodgers, bro, and they're worth a lot of dollars.
Yeah.
So wanted to bring that up. Now, I had Junis as my power pitcher, and he gave up a couple runs in this game, but it's the Dodgers, dude. Okay, let's be realistic. Yep. They're not going to get held scoreless too often, especially in LA.
Give up a 2-run home run. You're talking one mistake.
Yeah, it happens. He still had the 3 Ks, so he gave us 2 2/3. So he's eating innings, and that's exactly what I want from him, right?
Yep.
And Peguero, oddly enough, bounced back and had a good outing.
Shocker.
Weird. It's almost like he's around a group of guys who care about him as a human and not just look at him as an item on a baseball team.
Yeah.
It's weird how people that are valued, they feel good about themselves. So great from Peguero. 3 strikeouts in an inning pitched. McGill also had 3 strikeouts. He needed to get some work. I know it wasn't a safe situation.
Exactly.
He didn't pitch for a while, and he just needed to get some work. And he pitched like he was pissed off they didn't make the All-Star team. I'll say that right now. He was filthy, bro.
Yeah. He gave up a 2-out single, but he had 3 strikeouts that inning.
Bro, the things that they're doing with Trevor McGill with 2 pitches. Bro.
Did I not say it in April that he's got the 2 elite pitches, and that's all you need to be a great closer?
I'm telling you right now, there needs to be a documentary on the Brewers pitching lab.
Oh,
There needs to be.
bro,
None
could
of
you
this makes sense.
imagine, dude, the 30 for 30 in 2050 when we're watching the pitching lab 30 for 30 on the Brewers 2019 to 2025 pitching rosters?
Dude, it's
Oh
gonna
my
be
God, that
sick.
documentary is going to go so hard.
And you know what? I'm gonna be sitting on my couch, with my cheese popcorn. I don't care what anybody says.
Oh, dude, that's going to be amazing. Can't
That's
wait
gonna
for
be
that.
so good. So one last thing I'll say: the Brewers ended up winning this game, as we all know. That got their record to over 500 on the road. 26 and 25 on the road, and they're 5-9 versus the West Coast. So they do struggle out west a little bit, but back-to-back series against the Rockies, which is a tough place to play. We don't play well there. And the Dodgers, we don't play well at the Dodgers. With no days off in between, that's hard for anybody, man. I don't care who you are. I don't care what the records are of the teams. That's tough.
Yeah.
And
They
you
were
go
3 and 4. Like,
yeah, and the Dodgers and the Rockies games, all winnable games for the Brewers. So
Yeah.
they could have came away with a couple more W's, but honestly, I'm not upset. I feel good about this one.
This is one of those things where people have been making comments about the Brewers losing to the Phillies and the Dodgers all on the road.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, is that there is no transitive property that teams that you lose to in the regular season are somehow unbeatable in the postseason.
Well, we know that about the Dodgers. They're going to choke. So,
I mean, we talk about sweeping the Chris Ferry. I'm so glad you're here because we're getting really close to talking about last night, and I have a stat for you. The fact that the Brewers got swept in Philly and lost 2 out of 3 in LA does not mean that the Brewers can't win in October.
Very true.
It means nothing. If you have the record to get into the playoffs, anything can happen. If you ask any Major League Baseball player who's played in Major League Baseball playoffs, they will tell you anything can happen. We've seen a bunch of wild card teams making like World Series runs in the last handful of years.
I mean, Brandon Woodruff literally hit a home run off Clayton Kershaw, dude. Like, that happened.
Legendary stuff. But, I mean, when we're talking about baseball teams and we're talking about playoffs, the thing that is usually true is the team that gets hot is the team that goes.
Yeah.
And Christian Yelich talked about it, that in such small series, anything can happen. A broken bat single can change the complexion of a series and change the complexion of a postseason.
Mm-hmm.
So losing 2 road series in June and July has no bearing on October. And I would say conversely, the way that the Brewers are able to win games in so many different types of ways makes them a dangerous postseason team.
True.
Should they get there, assuming they get there.
True.
So looking at it, honestly, the walks aren't a huge deal to me. We just talked about the first 2 games of this series. The Dodgers were intentionally trying to drive up pitch counts.
Mm-hmm.
And I mentioned with the Brewers driving up, staying in games in the first 2 games, it made the Dodgers have to use their A bullpen, and they didn't get to use their A bullpen on Sunday. And the Brewers made them pay for it. Yeah, so the Brewers, offensively, were facing a pitcher making his MLB debut, pitched a couple good innings, and then eventually the Brewers hit 2 home runs off of him. 2-2-run home runs. It was interesting seeing Rhys Hoskins batting in the 2-hole. That was interesting.
Yeah.
But looking at the Brewers, all 3 games of this series, they hit home runs in the 4th inning. Christopher said the dog on the back, no yell dogs.
Yeah, that's my dog. I'm sorry. She's only 6 months old, man, so she's on age.
Christian Yelich home run in this game, 107 miles an hour off the bat, 418 feet. Christian Yelich exit velocities in Sunday's game, 99.2, 107.2, 90.6, 107.2. He is smoking the ball right now.
Oh, yeah.
Christopher said, don't say sorry. The dog knows what's up. Looking at the Brewers, they jump out to the 4-0 lead. And then we'll get to the Blake Perkins thing, but Brewers give 2 runs back. And we got people in our comment section being, well, I hope they don't blow it when they're up 4-2. We got to stop doing that. Cheer for the team to win instead of looking for ways they could still lose. Stop doing that.
I'm going to say it. You saying stuff like that is almost as weird as and shitty as people that say, oh, I'm happy they lose, so maybe they'll blow it up and they'll make changes. Why are you happy we lost? Are you actually a fan of this team or not?
It's just a dumb thing.
It is.
So people being like, oh, hope they don't blow it after giving up a 2-run home run, even though they've hit 2 of their own 2-run home runs. For the Brewers to then go and add insurance runs 3 times after that in the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings, to add a run in the 7th, add 2 in the 8th, and add 2 in the 9th against the Dodgers in LA looking for the sweep. Just stop making comments like that. Just stop trying to prepare yourself for if they lose in a game that they're currently winning. We got to stop doing that, people.
Yeah, they're just protecting their own feelings, really.
Just cheer for them to win.
Yeah.
They're already winning. It's easier to do it then.
It's true.
So, last thing I want to say, because this ties into the offense and the defense, but Vinny Capra played a good third base, and for him to get his first hit as a Brewer, which was a double, in 2 outs, and Eric Costa followed up with a home run to double the lead from 2-0 to 4-0. That's the 8 and 9 hitter doing work with 2 outs.
Nicely done. Nicely done. We were talking about that.
We were. So, what do you want to say on the offense? And I have 1 note. 2 notes on the bullpen, and then we can move into last night's game.
All right. So the thing that I took away was 4 people on the Brewers had an RBI. 3 of them had home runs, and 4 people also had a double. There was 1 person that was on every list. He's an all-star.
Yep.
Yeah, Yelly's good, by the way. So when I said we're all the fucking way back, I meant that shit.
Oh, man.
He had 3 RBIs this one, got him up to 41 on the year. 1 of his RBIs with 2 outs. Haas had 2 RBIs, both with 2 outs. And Mitchell had a 2-out RBI as well. Yelly's a home run. This was kind of funny to me. Yelly's home run with no outs. Haas home run with 2 outs. And Perkins' home run came with 1 out.
Nice.
We just homered in every situation, It was it doesn't matter, 1 out, 2 out, no outs. Throw it over the plate. We're crushing that thing, right?
Nope.
And
it's
the Dodgers had a. What are you saying? What do you got?
Perkins' home run was a leadoff.
Am I handicapped?
Christian Yelich's home run was with 1 out. Perkins was.
I wrote it wrong. Either way, I'm still kind of half correct. But
you're fired, Christopher. You want to talk about the Brewers?
This is why we're a team. Picks me up when I'm down. Okay, that's what a real friend does. So, you talk about we homered in every 4th inning of this series. Yelly's home run came in back-to-back at bats. So love that.
Well,
homer was crushed. Capper got on base. We already touched base with that. But after Haas's home run, and the Dodgers ended up scoring, the first 7 runs in this game were because of the home run.
Oh,
because Perkins added to that.
That is true.
So then Perkins had a single. Adames and Yelly ended up scoring in the top of the 8th. Yelly had a double in the 9th. Haas scored, made it 8-2. And G Money, that's for Christopher there. He had a double to the left. And, the Brewers were hitting. And I want to give you credit on some because you said some at the end of the Patreon. Hopefully the Brewers offense can break out tomorrow. This was that tomorrow. So good call, my man.
All right. Thank you. You mentioned Jacob Junis. He gave up the 2-run home run, but I've mentioned this. I've mentioned it before, and I'm going to double and triple down on it.
Mm-hmm.
Jacob Junis has a disgusting slider.
Oh, yeah.
His slider is amazing, and it is becoming one of my favorite pitches on the Brewers.
Mm-hmm.
So you have Trevor McGill's fastball, curveball. I mean, you got Freddie's slider, fastball, Devin Williams' changeup. Jacob Junis' slider is entering that conversation. That's how I feel about his slider.
I'm with it.
And then we have to talk about Blake Perkins. So There's ways that you can go about reacting to a situation, and I promise you there are right ways and wrong ways.
Mhm.
Calling Blake Perkins a moron is the wrong way to go about it. There was a designed play that the Brewers were going to try a hit and run in that situation, and I don't remember. I think it was Terang was at the plate when he got picked off. He was taking the extra steps to prepare for the hit and run, and Terang ended up not swinging. So obviously you can't do a
He
hit
was
and run
actually-
if the batter's not swinging.
He was trying to bunt and he pulled the bat back.
Bunt, that's what it was. Not hit and run. Sorry. Bunt.
And everybody was asking why he pulled the bat back. I remember that.
Yep. So that's that. Even still, even if he just got regular picked off, doesn't make him a moron. Makes him a baseball player who got picked off. The other guy's a baseball player too.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And when you say shit like that in the middle of a game, you have a real good chance of something else happening, like Blake Perkins making a good defensive play in this game. Then hitting a leadoff home run, literally an inning later, and then drawing a bases-loaded walk to push in another run. Like, guys are going to make mistakes. Nobody's going to be good 100% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And throwing stones at people when they're making mistakes. How would you want people around you to react to you making a mistake?
Well, that's an interesting question. I know that's probably rhetorical, but there's probably people that react like that have people in their lives that have treated them that way, and that's why they react like that. So, could be a thing.
Let me ask you a deeper question that I understand that not everybody's going to be able to relate to this question, but in some way, shape, or form, you'll be able to.
Uh-huh.
I'll frame it a little bit differently. How would you react to, say, a child in your life making a mistake and somebody else called them a moron?
I'll tell you right now, dude. First of all, my dog is just going absolutely insane right now. She really wants to go outside. Okay, I'm sorry about that. Second of all, if somebody ever, I swear to God, if somebody ever talks to my child like that, I will punt them 80 yards. I will turn into Marquette King in his prime, and I will punt them 80 yards. I do not care.
I mean, like, would you talk to your own child that way?
No. I mean, I get very mad at my kids, but I'm just like, listen, I tell them in a very calm voice, you're pissing me off right now, and I do not like that. Please stop doing that, and please correct your actions, okay? And then I show them what to do, because I'm not a monster.
I tell my kids to make good choices. But, I mean, that's the thing. Like, obviously not every single person has kids, but, like, if you have a niece or nephew, like, how would you talk to them if they made a mistake? Like, why are we not just doing that for other people? Just because they play a game professionally, does that make them not worthy of respect?
No, because they make lots of money, Tyler. So
that means you no longer have feelings because you get
Yep,
paid
yep.
hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars.
You, by the way, reminded me of another narrative I wanted to push, because I heard about Pat Murphy. You brought up Pat Murphy and how good of a leader he was being right the night before.
Mm-hmm.
And Pat Murphy gave his flowers to Yelly and talked about the leader that he is. And Blake Perkins talked about it as well, that after he got picked off on second base, that Yelly was over there and picking his head up and being like, listen, man, it's okay. It's going to be a mistake that you're going to make again. Try to learn from it and be better. And look at that. He hit a home run. Crazy how that works.
Man, wild. Absolutely wild. That respecting people helps them be better.
Christopher, if you ever wonder why I only have two friends, you could just keep repeating that statement to yourself.
Christopher said because adults can't adult, and that's the thing. It's not hard to just fucking treat each other with respect. Holy hell. Okay, so let's talk about last night's game. Honestly, I have 3 notes.
Yeah. So if my math is correct, and I'm not the great at counting, it looks like the top 7 batters in the Pirates order got a hit. They scored in 4 different innings. My dog is still going insane. I'm going to chain her outside and let her live outside for the next 30 years of her life. They had some big innings. They obviously hit a grand slam in the 6th inning, had a 6-run inning. They had a 3-run 8th inning, just adding on, kicking us while we were down. But you know what? Like we always say, man, it's 1 of 162. And people are going to be like, we're at home. Blah, blah. Shut up.
Here's the thing. It's 1 out of 3 even. If the Brewers win the next 2 and they win the series, I don't care how badly they lost the 1.
Yeah,
if you win a game 12-2 and the Brewers win the next 2, 2-0 and 3-0, and you outscore the Brewers 12-6 in the series, but the Brewers won the series, I don't care. I do not care. I care far more about winning than the amount of runs you score.
How many times have we had the discussion with Cubs fans the last couple of years?
Probably 33.
Make it 1 for the Pirates then, and 33 for the Cubs fans.
I feel like I have to keep saying it to Brewers fans. Like we're in the summer cycle. Like we get to the dog days that you always talk about, and then we get to the cycle where the Brewers lose a couple games that they're perceived should have won, and then everybody's like, this team is not going to win the division or go to the playoffs. So that's where we are in the cycle. Like it's like clockwork. Last year was the end of June when Ellie De La Cruz stole home plate. Nope, we were done. Season's over. We're in that part of the loop that we're within 2 weeks of where that situation was. Those comments were made last year.
Makes me feel a little bit better that it happened later this year. Got to say.
Yeah, that's fair. Touche. The season ended 2 weeks later. All right. Silver lining. I like it.
If they win a playoff series this year, I'll be ecstatic, dude. Honestly, just like the Packers winning a playoff game. Absolutely. If the Brewers win a playoff series, dude, I'm calling that a fucking win, and I don't care who.
Dude, making the playoffs would be a win for a team that was projected to be under 500.
Yeah, very true.
So honestly, my first note is on Colin Ray. He had a bad game. Yeah, it's one bad game.
Yep.
Christopher, you're gonna love this stat. 7 of 10 of Colin Ray's last 10 games, he's given up 2 runs or less.
Damn. It's pretty good.
7 of his last 10, including his gem in Colorado of 7 scoreless in probably the hardest stadium in baseball to keep teams scoreless. 7 of his last 10, 2 runs or less.
Pretty good. I like it.
Put some respect on Colin Ray.
Yeah.
We're not doing all this disrespectful shit because he had one bad game.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything you wanted to say on any of the pitching?
It is what it is, man. I mean, like you said, Colin Ray had a bad outing. I mean, Wilson gave up a run. Milner gave up a run. Hyams gave up 3 runs. I mean, Jake Bauers came in as a position player. Was the only person that pitched in this game for the Brewers that didn't give up a run, which honestly tells the entire story of this game.
Yeah. There's 2 other takeaways that I have from this game. One, the Brewers 8 and 9 hole hitters on Sunday were big. Yep. Last night they accounted for 6 of the 12 Brewers strikeouts.
That's not good.
That's just the Brewers need to be healthy so that the guys that they're using as placeholders can go back to being substitutions. That's just how the roster was constructed. So all of this, the season is over. We're playing with substitutions. You know, it's not like the Brewers are losing these games with Ortiz in the lineup, or even Gary Sanchez in the lineup. So I mean, there's other things going on here. Christopher brought up Garrett Mitchell. I'm perfectly fine with being patient with him for a while, till he gets to midseason form. Obviously, we've talked about the pitching staff, the same thing. So there's that. Then the other thing is, I have a small bone to pick with Pat Murphy, because last night, with Jake Bauers pitching the 9th inning, final score aside, after this game was 8-2, I believe, in the 7th inning. No, it was made 8-2 in the 6th inning. That would have been the perfect time to put Sal Frelick at third base.
Yeah.
He could have played potentially 3 innings of third base last night. So I have a small bone to pick with Pat Murphy on that. If we're gonna potentially bring back the idea of Sal Frelick, playing any amount of third base this season, last night would have been the perfect time to do it. He didn't start the game. The game was out of reach. We can call it like it is. They were down by 6 runs going into the last 3 innings of the game. And you don't have to take Joey Ortiz out of a game to do it.
Yeah, true.
So last night would have been the perfect opportunity for Sal Frelick to play third base. That was my last note that I had on last night's game.
I agree with that.
Okay. Anything else you wanted to throw out there?
Go win tonight.
So Brewers play tonight and tomorrow against Pittsburgh yet. They have 3 against Washington, so 5 winnable games on the slate here. Looking for the Brewers to win 4 of 5, ideally, to finish both of these series with wins.
As history would tell you, whenever Brewers Nation bitcheth on social media, they're going to go on a run. I'm looking for 5. Give me 5. I will say, if they lose one, it's probably going to be DePaul. That guy's disgusting.
I would love to have the Imanaga effect and rough him up.
I thought about it, dude. I really did. I thought about it. I was like, dude, if they get to another hyped rookie in the division, I will freaking cackle so loud that they hear me at AmFam Field.
That would be awesome. All right. So then after that is the All-Star break. Next week is going to be those 5 games we'll be talking about. So other than that, that's it. If you wanted to get a little bit of our Packers preseason discussion from last night, you can watch that on YouTube, listen to it where you get podcasts, and check us out on Patreon. We're going to have another watch party on July 23rd for Brewers Cubs, and then we're going to have a free one on August 10th for Packers Broncos, a preseason game. So check those out, and if it's something you enjoy, subscribe to us. It's something that's going to help us monetize the show and get us to a point where we can do the show for full-time jobs and then be able to put out more content, be able to study the games more, and be able to give more to our audience, which is something that we would love to do.
Yeah.
So other than that, Jake, I will see you again next Wednesday.
Hold on. I want to pump something up. Before we go.
Okay.
If you go back and watch or listen or whatever you get your podcast to the Packers episode, just know we have an episode coming up on the 20th. Okay.
August 20th.
August 20th. We have an episode coming up August 27th. And then, that's really when we get things rolling. And September 3rd will be for the week 1 predictions, right? So August 20th starts really our Packers schedule. So look forward to that. We have our Badgers primer plan that's going to start on the 21st. We're breaking in 2 days. The 21st to 28th. So if you have any Badgers friends, share it with them, have them come join us. Tyler and I are very knowledgeable people, but in my opinion, I'm going to speak for myself. I don't like speaking for Tyler too much. Mikey knows his shit. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
He knows his stuff and he knows more than I do. Mikey's our Badger football and Badger basketball expert. He's going to be with us on the 21st and the 28th. So invite all your Badgers friends for the 21st and 28th of August. Invite all your Packers friends, including yourself, if you like the Packers. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here if you didn't like Wisconsin sports. Come join us on the 20th, 27th, and September 3rd. September 3rd is my birthday, so I'm expecting you all to be there because that's my birthday request. So
yeah, we don't know how many he's got left. Jake's getting old, so
hey, I'm finding more gray hairs, dude. I have like 4 gray hairs in my beard now, man. I'm just like, I'm going salt and pepper in my 30s, dude. This is wrong.
Some people dig it, but hey, that's one of the things you get with us. You get a one-stop shop: Packers, Badgers, Bucks, Brewers, Badgers football and basketball. You get all that from us, and consistent voices. You're gonna get the same type of analysis from us. So you're gonna get that, and it's gonna be from an optimistic and positive perspective, and it's not gonna be doom and gloom and everything sucks. Trade everybody, fire everybody. You're not gonna hear that from us.
Yes,
so,
sir.
Other than that, appreciate everybody sticking around and for commenting along. And we will see you guys next week.